I just want everyone to believe in themselves, believe in their dream. It doesn't have to happen in another life. It can happen in this life. You just got to start with the basics and believe that you can do it, and just get it done.
In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. On this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with a good friend of mine, holistic health coach, chef extraordinaire, high school football team, ice and iron leader, and all-around amazing person, Eddie Madden. But before we get into the episode, I just wanted to give a quick, huge virtual hug and kiss to an amazing review I got on iTunes, which are so important to me, and I'm so appreciative for every single person who listens, shares the show, and helps me make this worth doing. I really appreciate it. But a big, big thank you to Donnie's World. Donnie's World says, love, love, love. As a strength coach myself, it was such a refreshing take and very inspiring. Looking forward to the episodes to come. Donnie's World, thank you so very much for that review. It really means the world to me. It's like wind in my sails, keeps me going to know there's actually real people listening and most importantly, benefiting from the show. So thank you so much. So on today's show, I have a great discussion. I think you're going to enjoy it very much. You're going to feel the energy that comes through the airwaves or through the video on YouTube or TikTok with Eddie Madden. You're going to feel his energy. He is contagious. He is on fire. And wow, he's just a wealth of information in the field of holistic health and wellness and how to practically live it. We actually talk a lot about Eddie's journey being kind of like a maverick in his family as well as his community, and how he grew up with a very, I think the word he used was stoic, very nose to the grindstone, New England type family of work hard and don't complain, just do it. And he found his way into holistic health and wellness to change his life for the better. And I asked him how he dealt with that transition and dealing with resistance. And unfortunately, even people kind of making fun of his journey. And because I know a lot of people struggle with that, like when you're quote unquote the weird one and you have the special diet and all that stuff. So we tap into Eddie's experience and his wisdom in dealing with that. And I talked to Eddie about his culinary skills and how he became to be basically his own chef. You wait till you check out his Instagram. All that stuff is in the show notes. But he definitely meets the category of food porn. I'm warning you. Wow. But the most impressive thing is anybody can make food that tastes good but isn't healthy. Eddie makes food that tastes good, looks gorgeous, and is nourishing to your body. So we tap into Eddie's wisdom on that. And also, we get into how, Eddie's intake on things to do to make your diet healthier, things to look out for, the danger of processed oils, and just some basic things that he does to keep himself mentally on track. We get a lot into mental and emotional health and fitness. And then Eddie shares with us his ice and iron wellness workshops that he does outside of Boston, Mass. About once a month. He has created quite a little community for himself. And this is a beautiful example of someone just doing what they can and someone that is blossoming where they are planted, even if it's in a pile of you-know-what. Eddie is making lemons out of lemonade, folks, and he is living proof on how you can do it. So I'm so grateful for having Eddie on the show. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. I am super excited for today's episode. I am pumped that you are with us because today I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Eddie Madden. Eddie, welcome to Awakening Aphrodite.
Thank you for inviting me, Amy. I'm happy to be on with you.
Yeah. Eddie, should I have introduced you as the fourth or whatever? I know you're not the first Eddie C. Madden in the world.
Well, I was actually just giving you a little inside information because a lot of people don't know that I am Edward Charles Madden the fourth. They just know me as Eddie.
Yeah, good thing because I would have thought I had the wrong bio. I'm like, you're such a personable, down to earth, loving guy that, I never would have thought of you the fourth. It's so official, but I'm impressed even more now.
A lot of pressure. So there's three other Eddies that had my name. But there's some
Yeah,
other legacies I have to live up to, apparently.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we start with that? How have you made your mark on your name? What makes you unique as opposed to the three previous ones?
Well, I think the best way for me to define my path and my new legacy with my name coming after my dad and my grandfather, my great grandfather, is self-care. I think I might be the first Edward Charles Madden to prioritize his health, his heart, and his overall well-being.
That's so important too, right? And so timely. I know a lot of us are addressing that very same issue, yours truly the most. That self care, why is it so hard for us, right? Why do we, often it's a woman thing, but obviously it's not gender specific. A lot of men put their families first, providing, sacrifice themselves. I get it. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, tell us about what you've learned, and maybe how you've overcome some of your own struggles with paying attention to your self care.
Well, I grew up in a family construction company working, and I idolized professional sports players, mainly American football. So, American football, construction workers coming from Boston, just really, really cemented the tough, gotta go, gotta do, gotta produce, gotta perform, suck it up, stoicism type mentality. That's really where I was born. And it's funny, my family had this, they use the word staunch all the time. And the way they use staunch was a little different than saying someone was a staunch Democrat or a staunch Republican. They just said, be staunch. And what they meant by that was don't complain, right? Be tough, do things the hard way, suck it up, like absolute stoicism, right? You got to be staunch, or they'll talk about uncles of mine and, oh, your grandfather was staunch. He'd do things the hard way. And that was just like the way that I was funneled into this life of being a man. Just do the hard things that need to get done and don't complain. And I really think that goes against everything that we have learned, Amy, when it comes to taking care of ourselves holistically.
Right on. I mean, like you, I grew up in New England with that Puritan work ethic. And same thing, nose to the grindstone. And it was a badge of honor to be a workaholic. First one in, last one to go home. Who could have absolutely no social outside life of work the most? I mean, it was definitely, you and I have a lot in common. And why don't we actually fill the audience in on our little friendship? Eddie and I, how long have we known each other now? About 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah, I would say somewhere around two.
Okay, and we met through our mutual friend and mentor, the one and only Paul Chek of the Chek Institute and the Living 4D podcast. And Paul has been a good friend of mine for 30 years. Paul and I go way back. We just long time. Paul's like family for me. But I started working very, very personally with Paul within the last 2 years. And that's when he hooked me up with you and said, you being in Boston, you're kind of a unicorn up there. We need to either get you out of Boston, or you've got to hook up with my good friend Eddie Madden, who lives outside of Boston, and the rest is history. We don't get to see each other very much, but I feel like we have a very strong soul connection. Obviously, our like-mindedness and our profession. We're both trained through the Chek Institute, and we both subscribe to the holistic lifestyle mindset. Body, mind, spirit, the whole deal, and we take our health and very seriously. But you and I feel like, I almost feel like you're a brother, like you're somebody I don't spend a lot of time with, but I'd have no problem giving you the keys to my house. And if you needed a place to crash, definitely hook me up type thing. And I hope you feel the same.
I do feel the same way,
Okay.
Amy. I do. Right when I
Okay.
met you, I do. We're outliers in Boston, and I think that Paul, who's made a huge impact on so many lives, very grateful for him. He really is a very generous and very helpful human being on this planet for so many. But we're outliers up here in New England. And I think that's just because the, nose to the grindstone mentality is dominant. That's the mainstream. And not to say it doesn't work for a lot of people. I feel like it comes with a cost. And some of us are outliers and we need to stay together. And I'm really thankful for Paul for connecting us.
Likewise. Tell us a little bit about your personal journey. You mentioned, obviously you grew up in New England in construction, pretty nose to the grindstone family. But tell us about your journey into the holistic health area.
Sure. After high school, when I was going to college, I started coaching high school football. And I was just getting an associate's degree. I was still working in construction, and I really didn't know where I was going. I knew once I started coaching football, I knew I loved that. At the same time, I was working in the restaurant industry as a bartender. I liked that. So I had money coming in at nights working as a bartender. I had money coming in during the day from working in construction. I'm a paving contractor in and around Boston. And I was fueling my heart by helping the kids out, by giving back and coaching young men. They're our future, just as young women are our future. Just the youth in general need positive role models. And I felt great. So then I started to realize that some of the teachings that are dominant in high school football really weren't working. There was just something inside me that told me I needed to learn more. And I was showing up as a strength and conditioning coach. So I went back to school, earned a degree in kinesiology, then started tapping into holistic health, started tapping into the importance of diet, sleep, thinking, positive psychology kind of blossomed out of nowhere in my life. I started finding books and books started finding me. And there's just a long line of synchronicities that occurred. It really kind of just brought me, maybe you could even say at the Chek Institute door, at Paul's door. And then it just seemed like a lot of streams, whether it was spirituality, like I said, positive psychology, spirituality, like, paranormal phenomenon has always been something that's interesting to me, and art and it was just like all these little streams just started to lead me. And I just use my heart as my compass, Amy. And I'm still on the path. I have not made haven't made it to the destination yet, but I'm still navigating. And I just follow the signs. That's what I do. If I don't feel good, if I feel resistance, if something doesn't feel right, I go the other way. I just kind of wait until my intuition I feel aligned, until the path feels exciting. And that's kind of how I go.
So tell us what your experience is like being an outlier, and particularly not only in your community, but also in your immediate family. And then all of a sudden, this kid that grew up in a construction, hardworking family, coaching high school football, starts to educate himself on holistic health, nutrition, mindset, all these different things. The paranormal, we won't even go there, but how did that work out for you in your immediate life? Did you get a lot of funny looks and disapproval from your family? And what are you all like, healthy now? And, oh, this food's not good enough for you. And Eddie's the weird one. And we can't invite him to the cookout because he's the one that eats, organic broccoli. And, tell us about, was that a struggle for you in your immediate family once you started to grow into holistic health?
It was a super struggle, Amy. It was a super struggle because was trying to keep one foot, in the pool and one foot out of the pool. And it was really taxing. I mean, just imagine trying to be half in a pool and half out of a pool. Eventually your pelvis would start to get sore and you really wouldn't feel comfortable. So that was really tough for me. Lots of doubts, lots of sarcasm. Lots of humiliation from friends. My journey, alcohol was a recreational activity from 18 to late 20s, 30s. It was just what I did. And I'm really lucky to have not killed myself or any other people, while under the influence of alcohol, because, like I said, be staunch was the family motto. Just be as tough as you can be and don't complain and don't be weak. So that almost got me in trouble a bunch of times. But yeah, kind of, it was like being taking care of myself, created, a black sheep complex. And I just wavered back and forth for, 3, 4, 5 years until, the pain teacher popped up, and I just said, I can't do this, whether it was food, terrible indigestion, nights, terrible night sleeps with digestive issues or hangovers, or just wanting to draw, or, just wanting to sit in peace. It was just, I just couldn't handle the chaos. So I'm just really grateful for, I don't know, I guess I can be proud of myself for being brave enough to get it here. I don't know how I got here, Amy. It was just slow baby steps.
That's very admirable. But I'm also envisioning kind of like I can see Eddie at his family's house outside of Boston on a hot summer day, and there's a big cookout, and they have the family there, the friends, the beer comes out, the chips, the wieners, all this stuff. And, all of a sudden, Eddie's like has his special meal, or Eddie picks certain things, and then here the making fun of Eddie begins. Just for the listener or the viewer on YouTube that's in that same position, that they're trying to go to the healthy lifestyle. They're the outlier in their world. They're the one that's the black sheep in their family that everybody makes fun of for being healthy, or at least trying to be. What would your advice be to them? Like, how did you actually handle it? Or would you have any advice? Like, this is what I said, or this is how I dealt with that pushback. Could you help them out?
Yeah, I think that's really important. It's an important question. What is the practical, pragmatic technique for handling peer pressure?
Exactly.
As an adult, right? Not a middle school kid getting past a joint, like really, what is the practical advice? It's going to hurt. It hurts. I can't say that there's a way to not acknowledge that pain. This is what really got me through. And it's an analogy that came to me, Amy, that I really want to share with you and the audience. And it really holds true. And I'm going to try to really, cook it down to a quickie. Imagine that we had an uncle that gave us a purple cowboy hat. He loved that purple cowboy hat, and we had the purple cowboy hat hanging in our house. Then that uncle passed, and we decided to honor our uncle and wear the purple cowboy hat. My suspicion, my hunch, is that as I'm walking down the street, wearing something different, doing something different, which is a metaphor or analogous to, not drinking alcohol, eating healthy food. So we're wearing that purple cowboy hat. We're walking down the street. Now, I would say that 90% of the people would not say anything. They're in their own head. They might not say anything. Then there's about 5% of the people that might give you a look or might behave differently. And then there's that other 5%, the really brave, that might say something to you like, nice hat, jerk. Like, oh, watch out for the purple cowboy. Oh, here come. What's up, Tex? But the thing is that I feel, Amy, is that everybody is in their head and nobody cares. They might care for about 3 or 4 seconds where they have that bravery and they may say something to you. But I really think that we're creating all the drama and it's fictitious. It's not actually real. I feel like we can all do what we want to do, be who we want to be. And, if a couple comments come in, just breathe into that comment, smile and say thanks. If you're a witty person, challenge yourself to hit them back, to jab them back playfully. But if you're not really, pragmatic and quick on your feet with your speech, Just smile and say thank you, because eventually they're going to be right back in their own head, in their own drama, worrying about what they're wearing. I don't think anybody really cares about anybody else in real time. They're not present. Most people are not. I'm not a huge percentage of the day. And I just feel like to worry about what other people think, it's like an irrational fear. It's like that asteroid, it's just like they're not thinking about us. They're thinking about them. And we got to do what's best for us, regardless of that small percentage of people that might say something to us. Maybe if they do, they should be congratulated for their bravery.
Right on. That's like that famous saying by Eleanor Roosevelt, what other people think about me is none of my business. And sometimes it's harder said than done. And I will say, I completely agree with everything that you're saying. Most of the time, people really aren't even thinking about you. A lot of it's your own projection on them. But likewise, any of the negative comments are often their projection of themselves onto you, because sometimes what happens is when you're being the strong one, when you're the salmon swimming upstream and doing what the family doesn't do and risking being criticized or different, you are mirroring to them strength and what they're doing with their own choices. And sometimes that makes people very uncomfortable, because then they have to look at their ability to change. And they, like that crab in the bucket analogy, yeah. So share that with us. So the crabs can pull you down, right, to where they are.
Crabs in a bucket. So you put 100 crabs in a bucket, and every time one gets its little claws up to the lip, a bunch of other crabs grab on and they try to pull him down. So I would say to your audience, Amy, that, the commitment is only half of the exercise. It's only half of the conditioning. When you're going to make a commitment, I am going to stop drinking soda, let's say, which is a huge one, right? If we could have a lot of people in this world stop drinking soda, that would really help their thinking, for example, right? And let's just say that commitment is only 50% of the lift, of the exercise, of the strengthening exercise. The other 50%, even more, is how strong you can stand when the commentary begins.
And that's why I asked you. Yep, exactly. Because it's very real.
And it's really tough. I remember one time I went into my neighborhood bar, and like when I switched to organic food, it appeared as if I lost about 30 pounds, especially in my face. I got really skinny.
Well, you weren't as swollen.
But I wasn't holding all that water to, fight the inflammation. My body was holding the water to cool it down. But I didn't lose any weight. I just looked like I lost weight. And Amy, I went in, it was my dad's neighborhood bar. It was a football game. I had because I carry a journal around with me all the time. I had to go in the bathroom after being there for half an hour, because I wrote down the comments that I got within a half an hour. Like, what's up, skinny? Hey, slim. Yeah. Whoa, look at this little guy. I forget what they were. It's like, you look like, it was just like really humiliating, like really cruel stuff. Right. And I was just present for it. I was like, okay, wow. It's like, oh, wow. I just got a second one, third one. I was like, whoa, this is good. I'm going into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom and wrote down the comments, because I was like, I felt like I got through. I was like, wow, this is really, these are crabs trying to pull me down.
Eddie, wow.
Just want to acknowledge them. And I've had multiple experiences like that. And I just have to give thanks. For some reason, Amy, I have a tremendous amount of willpower. When I say I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And actually the commitment is the big part of my, I can hang in there with the comments, my big lift, my big exercise, my big, getting over the inertia of making the commitment to change my lifestyle. But yeah, it can be really tough. We just got to stay strong. That's where we really build our strength, when people start chopping us down.
Wow, that's like super inspiring. And what I'm hearing too is you have an ability to kind of remove yourself, which is a really key quality a lot of the spiritual masters teach us, is when you're dealing with uncomfortable emotions or feelings or anything coming up, is you think of yourself as the witness, the observer, like step outside of yourself. And so you're not identifying and attaching to the uncomfortable emotion or feeling, but thinking it of almost like, okay, now Eddie is feeling really embarrassed. Okay, Eddie's feeling really, wow, I feel really ashamed, or I feel really bad about myself. They're making fun of me, or I feel like an outcast. Kind of like you were, it looked like you, or sounded like you had the ability and the wherewithal, in spite of a very intense emotion at the time, was to step back and kind of remove yourself and just kind of observe what the situation was for you, which is extremely emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, just try to think, okay, I'm embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, am I having the embarrassment or is the embarrassment having me? Until I step away and breathe and say, okay, how do I want to respond? What's
Mm-hmm.
really happening? I just think these are the exercises where we can breathe. I'm glad you brought that up, Amy, and being able to step away from the situation and step back from the emotion and just feel into it and figure out how you want to respond by pausing. A lot
Mm.
of people can't handle a pause,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially in a chaotic conversation.
When emotions, it's like they just fire it off, right? When it's emotional triggers, they have no like hold button.
Yep.
Where the conscious brain comes in, that's the reptilian reactive brain. But like you said, the power is in the pause, because that's where you can make sure, is my response what my higher self, the person I want to be, is it what I want, how I want to respond? Is it who I want to be in the world? And then you can make a conscious decision. Yeah, I want to blast their face off. Or no, I don't want to react that way, right? That way, at least you're consciously choosing rather than subconsciously reacting.
It's so important. It's the most important quality, I think, of anyone alive, the ability to respond to their situation, because we can't really control the outside. We can really only control the inside, and we can control our response. And that is the work for me. That's the work that I really, really hold high.
And I'll add to that, we control the meaning we assign to it, the narrative, the story that we're telling ourselves that this means. Like, for example, our discussion here, we, rather than react like, oh, this person's being really mean to me at the cookout and making fun of me in front of all my family and friends by my choices of food, you could reframe that as in, wow, this person obviously has an issue about their own health and lifestyle choices, or feels very uncomfortable about their weight that I'm obviously making them aware of. It's just like, that's just off the top of my head, a simple reframe that it's not about me, it's about them, so the meaning we give something is critical, rather than, oh, here they go again, people are always picking on me and blah, blah, blah.
Yep, poor me.
Total different story. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I really admire about your work as a holistic health coach, and I feel like another way you and I are very much aligned, is that you really have a special interest in the mindset component, the emotional fitness component. And that's always been my baby. Actually, in graduate school, I studied, back in the day, it was called sports psychology, because there was no other term for it. But I was always so fascinated with the whole difference. Everything that we're talking about is the headset, the meaning you assign to something, the way you frame it, the way you think of it determines how you react, determines the next thing that happens, right? So you and I are very much aligned that, yeah, the physical is super important. Your diet, nutrition, your water, your sleep, your sunshine, your fresh air. Can't ignore those ingredients. But I feel like the world is just finally giving props to the emotional mindset, spiritual component of health and wellness. And you and I have always thought that those were important.
I love it. I think it's everything. Turning the mind into our servant rather than our master. The mind can be so oppressive, and we can't even realize we're being oppressed. The hamster wheel can just continue without taking a pause and a breath and say, whew, what's going on here? Let me adjust my attitude, right? I even think that a fake positivity isn't even real. I mean, I feel like toxic positivity is a thing, but if we're crying over spilt milk, We can just turn the frown upside down and find the silver lining. I love to say, Amy, that today's biggest problem is tomorrow's funny story. That probably doesn't go it's probably not 100% usable, but most of the time, if something bad happened, you might end up be laughing about it in the future. It might become funny. So I just want to use the mindset piece to get everyone to lighten up and use their mind to achieve their goals.
Right on. I love it. So, in your experience, then, in your world of kind of breaking through as the maverick, if you will, what would you say are some of the biggest barriers that the people, that even your football students, the community, that what are some of the misconceptions you would like to clear up and take this opportunity? Like, these are things I see people believing that just aren't true, that I want them to know about health and fitness and wellness.
Well, I think that anybody who is aiming to look a certain way and that is the prize, that's a real poor compass, right? I think instead if people want to change their lifestyle, they should imagine what is it that they would love to do, right? Whether it's, I would love to be able to do 25 pull-ups, or I would love to run a marathon, or I would love to surf, or I would love to climb a mountain. I think when it comes to like fitness training, we should really think about what it is that we want to accomplish. Like in our obituary, like maybe even just pause, breathe, and jump forward to your obituary, your eulogy, or, what is your family going to say about you on your deathbed? What are the things that you love to do in your life? I think that is a great way to aim towards fitness. I think everyone's interested in fitness because they want to create a body, dream up a different body, Amy. But I think if we had a real fun activity to motivate us through our training, we'd get better results.
I love that idea. I mean, there's definitely a lack of fun and a sense of play in the fitness industry, like especially stuff like CrossFit and, not to bash it. I didn't mean that to sound like a hit on CrossFit. I just mean that sometimes, or even like running, I'm a runner. Well, not runner. I run a couple miles a week. That's about it. I call myself a runner. I guess I'm not really a runner, but my point is that's a very hard activity for me. And every time I do it, I have to push myself to keep going. Now, do I do that every workout? Absolutely not. I love to dance. I love to do yoga. I love to do nonlinear movement method, which is a very soft restorative technique of emoting the body. Anyway, my point is that a lot of the activities when we think of as, exercise is definitely lack of fun. And that's one of the reasons why I've always loved dance, because I've always loved music. And when dancing is the workout that doesn't feel like a workout to me, it's fun. It's like my soul gets lighter. And if your soul gets lighter, your body has to follow, right? I mean, they kind of go together because you take on that light essence, if you will. So, and I know I've heard through the grapevine that you're super fun when it comes to your workouts. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Haven't you created some sort of little wellness camp at your home? You have an ice bath and you've got a steel mace tell us about how you make stuff fun for your clients and your people.
Amy, you're the first one to call it a wellness camp. It is. It's like a little wellness day camp.
There you go. Absolutely. Yep.
I'm a firm believer in starting where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Love it.
I wanted to create a place where people could come and engage in community, meet people, eat good food, and just have like a one-stop shop, like a day camp. So two partners of mine, and we created Ice and Iron, which is kind of just an entry-level word. We came up with Ice and Iron because we have ice tubs, and we said iron because there's weights, but there's so much more under that umbrella. The headline of the event is breath work. We practice Tai Chi and Qigong. We have a fitness playground. Every month we have new toys that show up, from trampolines to ropes to frisbees to hula hoops to who knows? I think a pogo stick will be here soon. We just want to get as many different toys out as possible. And we breathe, we do breath work together, which is really transformative to music. And sometimes we do it outside. Sometimes we do it inside. I have a sauna. We fill up the ice tubs. It's everything. It's the best day ever. Anytime we have ice and iron, it's the best day ever. We have that once a month, sometimes twice a month in Quincy, Massachusetts. Usually goes from about 11 a.m. to 2:30. And we jam pack like a little weekend retreat into about 3.5 hours. It's co-ed. People from all ages show up. We have snacks, like I said, and we have a sequence, and we have a couple different leaders that are there all the time. And it's a good time. It's community. People are creating new friendships, and they're trying things they never tried before.
Oh, God bless you. That's like, it's almost like your own little church because you're serving people mind, body, and soul, which the food that they desperately need. I love it. Tell us too about, you said snacks. Snacks got my ear because I know you are quite the accomplished healthy chef. So tell us, are you self-taught on cooking? And when people check out your Instagram, wait till they see the food porn. Hello. I hate looking at your account because I'm like, oh, now I'm hungry. It's insane. You look like an amazing chef. I have not tasted your food yet, which you've got to correct. Yes. So tell us about your training and your culinary skills. How'd that happen, or did it happen?
Well, my mom was a cook. God rest her soul. She passed when I was young, but she loved to cook. My dad liked to cook a little bit, but yes, I am self-taught. And it just started to slowly build. And I would say in my 20s, I started to get into making sauces, and I found Cooks Illustrated, which is a great little magazine that comes out monthly or weekly from Brookline, Mass. That inspired me a lot. The Food Network inspired me a lot. And then Paul and like Joe Rushton and, all the food knowledge that came out of the great minds that have practiced at the Chek Institute, that really helped me spin everything. So to, put in a sequence on it, I was self-taught. Then I was a bartender. Then I became a manager of a restaurant, took control of the kitchen, always wanted to have delicious food because I was a foodie. And then the Chek Institute taught me about, nourishing meals, like that book, Nourishing Traditions from Sally Fallon, and then I kind of spun my passion into something that became an art. And, I'm trying to make a bad taco, Amy, but it hasn't happened yet.
Did you say a bad taco?
I just, I can't make a bad taco.
Oh, no.
I love tacos.
It's like you can't make bad pizza. I mean, how do you go wrong with that, right?
The best advice I could give to anyone who wants to start cooking more is to just learn how to source the food, get colorful food, learn about, non-inflammatory oils, and to just eat clean. Organic means clean, even though the organic sticker means like nothing anymore. Just eat clean, right? If you couldn't eat it 5,000 years ago, don't eat it today, and just make every plate colorful. Just imagine that you're painting, like, okay, here's yellow, green, red. All right, crap, I need purple or blue. And then boom, and then the pictures come to life and food porn is created.
I don't think it's that easy, but I wish I could. But all your advice, I think, is perfect. And if you don't mind, let's just give them a little more detail what we mean by that. Because if we had to summarize everything, what you said, if it didn't exist 5,000 or 10,000 years ago, don't eat it. And that includes industrial seed oils, which means canola, grapeseed, rice bran, corn, soy, cottonseed. All of these oils, which are in all processed food and almost all prepared foods, as well as restaurant foods, are not natural. They're man-made. They're highly toxic. They lead to inflammation in your body, all kinds of joint problems, emotional problems, not to mention weight problems. Cellulite is one of them, premature aging, etc. But can you also just give a little more detail for us on the transition from regular, conventional foods that you get every day in a restaurant or a store or wherever to the way you learned how to make the food healthy. For example, maybe some substitutions, like I just said, get rid of those oils I mentioned and instead use olive oil, real raw organic butter for cooking, for example, instead, etc. So,
Oh, it's a huge question, and it's a huge subject that I'm really passionate about. It starts with being a label reader
okay,
and a question asker,
there you go.
right? And we're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm done with restaurants pretty much.
Yeah.
If you ask your waiter or waitress what kind of oils they fry in and they don't know, they have to go in the cook. The cook probably doesn't even know. They probably have to say, I don't know. And they have to look underneath the table and, oh, all right, I guess, yeah, it's canola. They don't even know. They have no idea. They're like, like dogs that haven't been trained, that are just ripping the house to shreds. And the house is our bodies and our psyches. And it didn't start with them, right? Because everyone's doing the best they can. It starts with the corporations that took control of the food supply in this company last century. And you know what I say, Amy, all the time? It's not their fault either. Hey, they have a right to make money. If we buy it, then hey, good for them. They created a product for a bunch of dummies. I'm the first one to raise my hand. I was one. We didn't look at what was in it, and we just ate it, and we caused all kinds of problems. If we're going to be a victim mentality and we're pointing the fingers at, oh, Kellogg's and, General Mills
Monsanto.
and Tyson, Monsanto, it goes on and on and on, Coca-Cola, right? We point the fingers and say, go out with the picket sign and kick up all this dust and lawsuits. I say that that's victim mentality. That's just perpetuating the problem. We need to go and we can't just go food shopping with 45 minutes. Maybe we need to double that time. So that way we can actually look at what we're buying and say, wait a second, hold on here. What's in this? There shouldn't be 50 ingredients in a salad dressing. A quick practical tip: olive oil, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, organic Dijon mustard, honey mustard, horseradish mustard, whatever kind of mustard you want. Maybe a little maple syrup, or if you want it a little bit sweet, salt, pepper. You really don't need the maple syrup. That's a great basic little vinaigrette right there. Then you're done. How much money are you going to save on salad dressings a year if you just get that? We got to be the masters of our world. We got to be the masters of our body, because if we don't have a healthy body, we can't navigate our world. And if we're just pointing the fingers, poor me, just getting all up in this whole crazy storm of, I'm being oppressed. That's not solving the issue. We have to be the master. We need to take responsibility in our own life with the basics. Read the label. What's going in your body. We can make it easy, Amy. I just feel like, maybe I'm just downplaying this huge mountain that we all have to climb. And I just say, let's turn the mountain into an anthill. It's like, how can you just make the situation easy for yourself? And that, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Brilliant. I love all of it. And I will add to that you not only, in addition to being responsible for yourself and taking your sovereignty back, which is a very important point that you made, but I would also say highly consider the source of your information, because you're only as good as the quality and truth and integrity of the information that you believe is true. So be very disconcerting on, that's not the right word. What's the word I'm looking? Very picky where you get your information, because that's what you're going to believe is true. So make sure it's from reputable sources that don't have skin in the game about you buying their product or whatever, or reasons to, hide the truth, so to speak, which happens every day. And I'd also say, in addition to that, open your mind to connecting the dots to how things are related, because everything you just said, Eddie, I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that, oh, maybe my achy joints and my inability to focus is not because I'm getting older and I'm getting arthritis, and that's normal because my doctor said that's what happens when you get older, and I have ADD or OCD, and people self-label themselves all the time. Maybe it's I'm reacting to something I ate because of the antigens in the food, or because too much sugar or artificial chemicals and my brain circuitry is going crazy, so I can't focus. So people need to educate themselves from the right sources. Like Nourishing Traditions is an amazing book that you referenced by Sally Fallon. How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy by Paul Chek is an amazing user-friendly resource. There's a gazillion others. The work of Dr. Zach Bush is another one I'm sure you can add to the list. And then connect the dots, because, and I've heard you say this before, and I'd love for you to expand on it. You are what you eat. What do you think the cells of your body and your organs are made of? How good are your organs going to work if you don't give them the fuel that they need in the right amounts at the right times to function? How good is your brain going to work if it doesn't have the right fuel, et cetera, et cetera? So do you want to expand on that?
Absolutely. We are what we eat. And I want to just touch on the knowledge thing for a second. I think a lot of people, listen, we've been misled. Yep. Straight up. We've been victimized. We've been misled. We were created, we're just a dollar sign, right? Yep. We were lied to. We're being lied to right now.
Yeah, we are. I just did a show on it. Yep.
I mean, it's true. And that's not an insult. Like when I say I've been lied to, to go back into family programming, my dad has a story. It says, I'm a sucker. Like he gets people calling him all the time up. They know I'm a sucker. They're just coming after me, the salesman. Like, we're not suckers, right? Yeah. We're just innocent human beings trying to have a quality life. And we're looking for the path of least resistance. And these people, these corporations, they've created a nice little mousetrap or a little maze for all of us to just kind of go in. So that way they can make money. It's not our fault, right? It's only our responsibility to shift. It's our responsibility to not take our ignorance as an insult. We were maybe ignorant. That doesn't mean that we're not a unique, divine, amazing being that regardless of how old we are or where we come from or what we've gone through, that doesn't mean that we can't reach a potential that would exceed all of our expectations. It's true. People, if anybody could look and find amazing stories of people going from point A to point B and just totally exceeding the expectations of everybody. And when it goes into food, that's the basic. Those are the basic building blocks. The problem is that momentum is a real factor here in the game. And if we've spent 10, 20, 30, X amount of years being totally misled into the rat maze, you got to get out, right? You got to get out. And unfortunately, I don't think you can just, pop up and just kind of climb on the top of the maze. You got to try to work your way out. And that starts with, I think, just start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Does your food store have healthy organic section? See, a lot of run-of-the-mill food stores in here, up in our area, Amy, you got Star Market, Shaw's, Big Y. You go into their organic section, that food, it isn't very fresh because, I hate to say it, the people that are shopping there, they don't prioritize the organic section. So it's not very nutrient dense because that stuff's been on the shelf for a really long time. I think that the regular run-of-the-mill food stores have a real problem keeping the organic food fresh because we're just, we represent a small bubble of, educated people that care about what they put in their body. So I think farmers markets are a real good way to go. People that have families, taking your kids to a farmers market, there's a lot of cool things to shop for at those places. It's not just food and veggies. There might be blankets. There could be jewelry. There could be candles. Yeah, exactly. It's just a cool thing to go there. We just got to shift our interest and get off the hamster wheel, because those food stores, unfortunately, they're just not the way to go. We got to connect to farms. We got to find real good water. Water is a big one. If someone wants to do an experiment, if you have a dog, put 2 bowls, put tap water and spring water in 2 bowls and see which one your dog goes to. I was just in a river, Amy, on the bottom of a waterfall in Vermont, and someone had a dog in there, and the dog was amazed. he was so excited. He just kept drinking. He couldn't believe that he was surrounded by this alive,
just charged. Yeah.
totally charged. And, you know, I just think it's a fascinating subject when you think about what your dream is. And like, if there was no such thing as impossibilities, right? You could make anything possible. You could be anybody and not abandon the people that you love and just show up like so full, right? You have that imagination in your, that imaginable person of us in the future. You could get there. You could do that. You can create that. You can really be whoever you want to be, regardless of how old you are or what you've gone through. You just got to start with the basics. Get yourself to sleep, clean your body out, have positive thoughts, get connected to your breath. We're 98% water. Let's clean up the water. Let's stop trusting the pipes that come into our house, the food store that sells the food, the television that keeps us entertained. Let's take a pause, breathe, and let's just really discern on whether the inputs that are coming into our life are life affirmative. Are they dream affirmative? Like Paul says, is it really, can I really trust these things? Because I think we'll find, Amy, that we're being misled and that there's a better way and it might even be easier and more fun.
I love everything you said. And like I said, connect the dots. Everything you just listed is the reason why you feel the way you feel and look the way you look. Yes, it is connected. And if you're not sure who to believe, always consider the source. Look at success leaves clues, right? If you want to learn how to, I don't know, have cook a great meal, I would hire someone like you who I can see knows how to cook a great meal. So if someone's teaching you how to be healthy and fit and how to have good energy and look younger than you are and all these type of things, maybe study what they do. And that's a big reason why Paul Chek is so successful. He's going to be 60 years old in 2021. And the guy can outrun, outlift, outthink, outperform, out everything than probably any 30-year-old guy half his age, you know, because he is his proof right there, as opposed to maybe some corporate CEO or doctor or whatever. And I'll add to that, you know, I just didn't want this point to get away, not to backtrack, but what's really sad, Eddie, is that, you know, you were saying we've been lied to, without a doubt. I mean, without a doubt, that we have fascism. Corporations are running what we call a government. It's really not a government anymore. It's bought and paid for. So is media and advertising, for that matter. But not everyone thinks the way you do. Not everybody has integrity, is what I'm trying to say. Not everybody has a moral compass. And one of the biggest downfalls we have is that we assume everyone else is basically a good person like we are and has a moral compass and wouldn't do that kind of thing, wouldn't mislead us intentionally, wouldn't intentionally hide science and trial studies that are showing things have adverse effects and hurt the population, et cetera, wouldn't hide that from the truth because of corporate greed. So people tend to think everyone else has integrity and values and morals like they do. And that, unfortunately, is not true, which gets us into trouble.
You're so right. And I think what's coming up to me is back to that purple cowboy hat analogy. So there's a dark shadow and a golden shadow to the fact that people don't care about us. So when someone throws you a little cheap comment, you know, at a cookout because you're eating carrots and you don't want to eat the burger that's on a wonder roll that was, you know, made out of a tortured animal that was living in a hell realm, you know, which really didn't sign up for that on its soul contract, but we did that to that cow. So anyway, you're going to take that energy in and someone throws you a cheap comment. Oh, watch out for the vegan over here, you know, chewing the carrots, Bugs Bunny, whatever it may be. Yeah. They just send that quick to you. They really don't care about you. They're just doing that on their own. But with these corporations, all healthy, natural flavorings. Let's go on the natural flavorings that's on labels all the time. They don't care about you either.
No, just so you buy it.
Yeah, it just comes down to sovereignty, like you said. What we just need to assess. There's people attacking us all the time, and it doesn't mean anything. And there's people that look like they're helping us all the time, and they're hurting. Things are not always as they seem.
Bottom line.
it's just I just want to end with one story, and it's like a fable, right? It's the Alan Watts fable that maybe people have heard, where a bird, all the birds are flying south, and one bird says, "I'm not going to fly south. I'm staying here in the winter." And the bird finally gets really, really cold and starts heading south, but it was too late. So the bird froze and fell out of the sky because it couldn't flap its wings anymore because it was frozen, and landed in a barn and landed on the ground and was pretty much like frozen solid. And then a cow took a big crap on the bird.
Okay.
So now the bird's inside the crap and it's warm, right? and it's like, wow, this is comfortable. And the bird starts singing and chirping. And then there's a cat walking through the barn, and the cat can't figure out where the chirping's coming from. And then finally the cat starts pawing at the big cow dung where the bird is and kills the bird.
Oh.
Dead. The moral to the story is, sometimes if you're in a pile of shit and it's not that bad, keep your mouth shut. And
Eddie.
Second is sometimes the people that are helping you are trying to kill you.
Wow, what a story. I had never heard that before.
The cat's saving you. Oh, the cat's helping us.
Eddie, that's brilliant, and how appropriate to close out our show. That's exactly what we've been talking about. So at the end of the day, you got to follow your own instincts, do your own homework, make sure you always consider the source, and wow, keep your eyes and ears open for the other animals. That's brilliant. Eddie, I love it. You're fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Are there any closing words you want to share before we wrap it up?
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having me. This was fun. I just want everyone to believe in themselves, believe in their dream. It doesn't have to happen in another life. It can happen in this life. You just got to start with the basics and believe that you can do it. Turn the mountain into an anthill and just get it done.
I love it, Eddie. And, you know, and you are an example of what I've been talking about is, you know, consider the source. You're somebody who's walking the talk and who's, you know, going through that hard road, but, you know, forging your own trail. So you want a good role model. Eddie Madden the fourth. Eddie C. Madden. Edward C. Madden the fourth. Oh, my God. Is there going to be a fifth?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. All right. I love it. Okay, Eddie, how can people find you? How can they find about your little wellness camp, Ice and Iron? And where is Eddie on Instagram? How can I get more Eddie and see some of this food porn?
Yeah. Food porn can be found at Chef Coach Madden on Instagram. Chef, there's a couple underscores in there.
It'll be in the show notes.
Ice and Iron, we have a website, and our next event will be on August 22nd. Not sure where that lands with the airing of this awesome conversation, but we do one a month, and there'll be one in September, usually on Sundays around 11 o'clock in Quincy. If anyone's listening, it feels like they want to try something new and come meet some new people, it would just make the first timers are the best. I just love seeing new people. It's the greatest.
I love it. That's fantastic. And again, all that will be in the show notes. So everybody, wow, check out Eddie, his crew, and all the great things. Thank you, Eddie, for coming on Awakening Aphrodite.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you, everyone.
Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's AMYFOURNIER.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.